Welcome to Learn PTE HUB. I'm Sidhu, and I'm here to help you ace your PTE exam. Whether you are just starting your PTE journey or looking to boost your score, you've come to the right place. On this channel, you'll find comprehensive lessons, expert tips, and practical strategies to master every section of the PTE exam. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Let's get started and conquer the PTE together.
Far too many people often say things like, animals do this, but we don't. Or this animal does this and that animal does this, but the humans don't do things like that. Those statements have some hidden assumption that we're not animals. When we say animals do this, animals do that, we often assume that we're not animals. If we're not animals, what are we? Are we plants? Or trees or flowers? No, we're not. Then, okay, we're not plants. Then are we microorganisms? Really tiny microscopic things? No, we're not. Then the natural conclusion must be we're not living things. Well, that's not true. Yes, we are animals. And I see animals in us, and I see humans in animals. So I'm going to talk about the animal behavior and human nature. In order to understand human nature, we can look into animals' eyes and animal behavior and find something about what made us who we are.
I'm Kim Reynolds, and I'm the Professor of Children's Literature at Newcastle University. And I wanted to write a very short introduction to children's literature because although here in Britain we have one of the longest and most distinguished traditions of creating books for children, perhaps the longest and most distinguished in the world, we often take them for granted and we don't pay enough attention to what a remarkable cultural resource they are for adults and the kind of cultural work they do for children and the way that they've served writers and illustrators as a cultural space for creativity, subversion, and opportunities to experiment with new ideas. So what kind of cultural work do children's books do? Well, at the level of an individual child, this is one of the places where children learn the vocabularies, get the vicarious experiences, and see the images of the world that help them think about how the world works and where they fit into it. Because children's books are one of the first places that children encounter these things, they're often very direct as a source of information about what a particular period thinks, including what it thinks a child is, what a child needs to know, what childhood looks like. Sometimes when we're looking at children's books from the past, it's very important to notice the kinds of children who aren't there, for instance. So that's one of the things that we have in children's books, a great repository of stories that have been shaped for children in the past that tell us about the values of the past.
Ever try to get a baby to smile? It can seem close to impossible. And then suddenly there it is, that elusive, seemingly joyous grin. Well, it turns out those smiles aren't spontaneous, they're strategic. Researchers have found that when babies smile, it's for a reason. They want whoever they're interacting with, typically a parent, to smile back. And they time it just so, a smile here and a smile there. The researchers call it sophisticated timing. The study is in the journal PLOS One. The researchers enlisted real mothers and infants and quantified their interactions, which fell into 4 categories. 1, babies wanted to maximize the amount of time smiling at their mothers. 2, they wanted to maximize the time the mother smiled at them. 3, they wanted to experience simultaneous smiling. And 4, no smiling at all. By studying when smiles happened and what the subsequent effect was, the investigators were able to figure out that for mothers, the goal 70% of the time was to be smiling simultaneously, while for babies, 80% of the time, they just wanted their mother smiling at them. So mothers want the interaction, while babies just want to be smiled at. So your baby may not be able to feed itself, talk, or even turn over yet. But when it comes to smiles, babies seem to know exactly what they're up to.
To understand the fight or flight response, it helps to think about the role of emotions in our lives. Many of us would prefer to focus on our logical, thinking nature and ignore our sometimes troublesome emotions, but emotions have a purpose. Our most basic emotions like fear, anger, or disgust are vital messengers. They evolved as signals to help us meet our basic needs for self-preservation and safety. It would be dangerous to be indecisive about a threat to our survival, so the brain runs information from our senses through the most primitive, reactive parts of our brains first. These areas of the brain control instinctive responses and they don't do too much thinking. This more primitive part of our brain communicates with the rest of our brain and our body to create signals we can't ignore easily, powerful emotions and symptoms. There's sugar in a lot of foods where you don't expect it. Of course, there's lots of sugar in donuts or ice cream or pastries or other things that are sweet, candy of course, but there are other places where you see it and you don't necessarily expect it. So as an example, peanut butter. Here's a list of ingredients from Skippy peanut butter and you see that sugar is the second most common ingredient. So that you may know from reading food labels that these ingredients in any food label are listed in order of how much there is in the food itself. So sugar comes right after peanuts. Here's another example, beef stew. You wouldn't necessarily expect to find sugar in beef stew, but it's there. Now it's down the list of ingredients, it's actually toward the end, but if you look at the marketing of this and look at the can, it says, there's fresh potatoes and carrots, but actually there's more sugar in this than there is in carrots. And so you wouldn't eat something like beef stew and expect to find this to be the case. Here's another example, where you have high fructose corn syrup, is the source of sugar is in ketchup.
If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more PTE-related content. Don't forget to leave a comment below letting you know what you think or if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. I will meet you soon at our next video.